All right, part 3 of the quote unquote good versus bad foods. In this video, I will be talking about prioritizing the food that you're eating and the decision that you're making. Okay, so with some of you, I've probably done value setting, and this is going to come into play here. So if you haven't done value setting, please reach out and let me know, and we can do that together, because this is going to be a big thing when it comes to setting your priorities. Okay, the next thing is going to be goal setting. I'm not going to be going over that in this video, but that would be the next thing after goal setting, or sorry, value setting. Okay, so today in this video, we're talking about prioritization. Sorry, I have to sound this out. Okay, prioritization. The things that you think you're never going to use again after elementary school. Okay, so what I want you to get out of this, all right, by the end of this video, and that honestly, after goal setting and value setting, you should be able to prioritize your goals. Okay, prioritize your goals. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay, at the end of this video, you should be able to prioritize your goals, make decisions based on your priorities, and change your decisions based on lower priorities, lower or higher. Okay, so you should be able to prioritize your goals, make decisions based on your priorities, and change your decisions based on whether a goal is higher or lower for you. Okay, so first and foremost, let's take some examples. This is going to make a lot more sense if we have some examples. So let's say my values are, I'm just going to write 2 of them. Okay, wellness and curiosity. Okay, those are 2 of my values, and then goals. Remember, it has to be a SMART goal. Okay, so let's just say better or improved hormone levels, higher, let's say optimal hormone levels, and okay, let's just do backpack all the national parks and improve hormone levels to ideal optimal range. Okay, so 2 goals, 2 values. Okay, so first and foremost, value prioritization and goal prioritization can change based on where you are in your life. Okay, so again, this is a continuum. This is my continuum arrow. Okay, so on one side, we have, I don't know, values in present, and then on the other side, values in the future. I don't know how to display that. Okay, so really what I'm just trying to show you is that your values can change, but the way that you prioritize them is what's more likely to change. Okay, usually our values, these beliefs that we make decisions based on, they don't really change like goals change. That's not to say that they don't change, but they're just less likely to. Okay. So right now, for me, my goal is wellness, or my priority value is wellness. Okay. So the decisions that I'm making right now are going to be more in line with improving my hormone levels, because to me, that's improving my wellness. Okay, number one priority, wellness. So in turn, number one goal would be improve hormone levels. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, this is mine. What I want you to do is, if you have your list of values, I want you to rank them. Okay, so rank them 1 through 5, 1 through 3, however many you have. It really shouldn't be more than 5. And then what I want you to do is write down your goals. Okay, so even if you have like a goal that you have right now is to lose fat, but like maybe in the future you want to be more financially savvy or something like that. Like, even though you're not working towards that right now, you could still write it down, because it still might be a goal that you have. Okay. So once you have that down, I want you to match your goals to your values. Okay. So if you can see, like, maybe family is a value for you and your goal is fat loss. Well, you might think it's a stretch to connect those two, family and fat loss. Like, I'm not really seeing the connection. It's not like wellness and hormone levels, or like health and fat loss. But if you dig a little deeper, which we should have in your value setting, then you can see that maybe the reason that you want to lose fat is because you want to be able to play longer with your kids, be more present with your kids, be alive when they have kids. Okay. So if it's something like that, then that's an easy connection. Okay. So try and see if you can make those connections right now. If you need help, let me know. And then what we're going to do is basically, we're going to go over scenarios to show you how you could potentially be put in situations where you need to prioritize one value over the next. Okay, so scenario 1, no, sorry. I'm going to run one scenario for mine, and then I'm going to do another example scenario. Okay, so scenario 1. Okay, so let's say that part of improving hormones is eating minimally processed foods so that I don't inflame myself more than I might already be. Okay, but so I'm going along, I'm eating this way, but then we're going on a hike and it's 30 miles long, multi-day, and I have to figure out what kind of food I'm bringing to keep myself fueled on the backpacking trip. Okay, so maybe we're backpacking in a national park, or we're training to go to a national park and backpack there for a multi-day excursion. What am I going to do because most of the time, the food that people bring on these trips are like things that are packaged because it's easier. Things like tortillas, peanut butter, jelly, deli meats, these pre-packaged foods, candy bars, hot chocolate, like all this stuff that, like, typically, if a person wasn't in my situation, it probably would be fueling them on this like 31-mile hike, basically walking up and down going high and low with like 20, 30-pound pack on. Like you're going to need a lot of fuel in order to get through that. So how do I make the, what is the word? Sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay. How do I make the compromise so that I can still go on this backpacking trip, but I'm making sure that wellness continues to be my priority. So a few of the things that I do, because this is a scenario that comes up, I make my own food. And really, I mean, honestly, what I do is I'll bring like packet tuna, like pre-made microwavable rice, and I bring protein powder, oats. I'll heat water for breakfast. Sometimes I'll bring greens powder. Snacks, I'll bring, there's no oils in it, no added sugars, just like very minimal ingredients. Okay, so instead of me bringing like tortilla wraps to eat, I'll do for lunch just some tuna and rice and maybe some mustard, or maybe a little bit of oil. I'll bring my own olive oil, sometimes, not all the time. I'll bring my own salt to put salt on. When I'm eating breakfast, usually what I do is just get a Ziploc baggie and I'll put oats in there with the protein powder already in there, maybe the greens powder, and then in the morning, I'll heat up water and just pour that in, let it boil, and eat that up. Or things like jerky, Lara bars. They're like these things called split. So it's like a nut butter and a jelly, but the jelly has like very minimal sugar added. The nut butter doesn't have any added oils, and I just eat that together. So basically, like, I wouldn't say I go out of my way, but that's because I already know what foods like I'm looking for to create my backpacking food list or meal prep, essentially. And I don't always do tuna, like there's other things that I'll eat in there. But like I'm not making ramen noodles, like some people would when they're backpacking. Okay, so that's like my compromise. So I'm still eating, I mean, pretty healthy, and I'm eating enough oats and carbs and basically fat to fuel myself for the whole trip. But it's with foods that I know that like my body works with, will break down and utilize and fuel me for future trips or like the rest of that trip. Okay, so that would be like one scenario. I'm not like, well, I'm not going to go on the trip because I can't eat the foods that I'm supposed to eat, right? I'm not saying that. So that would be like the all or nothing. Or another way you can think about the all or nothing is like, well, fuck it, I'm going on this trip no matter what. I can't find food that like works with me. I'm just going to do all this stuff that I don't normally eat. Okay. So those are like two options that I'm sure people would make very often. And I'm trying to find the compromise. And you can see I'm not like the all or nothing is also kind of like, well, wellness is my priority. So even though I value curiosity and exploration, and one of my goals is to go on more backpacking trips, I'm just not gonna go on this one right now because like my hormones haven't improved yet. Well, then you're just missing out on life. Okay. Like I don't want that for you. And then the other way you can think about it is like, okay, you're prioritizing a value, you're being curious, you're exploring, and you're achieving one of those goals, but it was the one that you said was a lower priority. And that's okay, but can you make a compromise? Or are you just putting your number or the thing that you're saying is a number one priority on the back burner? And listen, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but you just have to understand this is why you're making the decision. Okay. So I want you to be informed about the decision that you're making. And it's just another way to think about it and see if you can compromise. All right. So scenario number 2, this is going to be like a common one. I hope is common, so that it can be relatable. Okay. Scenario 2. Okay. This one is something that I hear a lot. Okay. So, trying to eat healthier and lose some fat, but I have kids with crazy schedules and they don't like the food I'm trying to eat. Okay, that's probably like the number one thing that I hear from parents. And first of all, let me say there's nothing wrong with that. You're doing the best that you can, right? And in this situation, family, you have family, right? So this is wrapped into that family value, but your goal is to lose fat and get healthier for your family so you can give more to them, so you can be more present with them. So how do you overcome this? What are the options? Well, instead of the all or nothing thinking where you prioritize family and their needs and your needs are down here, and instead of just focusing on your needs and ignoring their needs, which I know none of you would ever do, instead of going from like here to here, is there this level place? Okay, so this is from a person who is on the outside looking in. I don't have kids, but maybe some of the things that you could do is first, prioritize their schedules, or no, that's not what I want to say. Okay, just make sure that you know what's coming up in the next week. That way, you can plan and prepare with the food that you need to help you reach your goals. All right, that's the first one. The second one is maybe try not overscheduling your kids or yourself. And this is a hard one because I know as kids get older, like they have all these things that they want to do. They have all their own goals and all their own passions. And it's obviously not always you, but I just want you to understand that to be successful, you don't always have to overschedule yourself. And if you are feeling burnt out right now because of the overscheduling, don't teach that to your kids. And if that's already in the process of being taught to them, maybe you just need to sit down and not necessarily rethink things, but just think about ways where you can teach them and educate them what it means to be burnt out, what it means to overschedule, and let them decide for themselves. Okay. Especially if they're older and they are making decisions for themselves, they need to understand the implications, right? Just like you do with some of this stuff. And if they're never taught it, then they're not going to know until it's too late. Okay, so if there's not an option right now for you to not overschedule them, or if it's because you have so many different kids that are doing all these different things, make sure you know what's coming up and plan for it so that you can plan for yourself. Okay. The other thing is, if you're not eating certain foods, why are your kids eating those foods? Okay, it's just a question. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Again, there's no like right or wrong here. Do what's best for you and your family. But if you are in a situation right now where you don't like where you're at, and you're trying to improve, then educating your kids on why you're doing certain things, why you're eating a certain way, how it's affecting you, those things are what you should be teaching your kids. Okay, I don't think it should be about, no, you can't have that because I'm the parent, or like, no, we can't do that because I'm not eating it. That's probably just going to lead to problems down the road for your kids with their relationship with food. Okay, so we don't want that, but we want to educate them on how food is affecting them, how they can learn to feel food in their body, how cooking, what's cooking doing versus going out to eat, and all those sorts of things, so that you are just like educating them along the way, and not necessarily saying this is good or this is bad, or like you can't have that, you can have this. Allow them to make their own choices and experiment with it themselves, but also know that if the option is available, sometimes kids might surprise you, and sometimes they might pick the food that you think they're going to pick, right? So as long as you, I think, are educating, this can also help the scenario. Okay, so those are some of the options that I see. Other things would be just like having snacks in the car that you're okay with eating and are in alignment with your goals. Making sure that the fridge and the pantry are full. If those things aren't that way because it's the end of the week and then you're going out of town that weekend and you're coming back and it's like a Monday and you're ready to start the next week, use things like food delivery services, grocery delivery services. Pick things that are going to help you instead of like, well, we're here now, like we're just going to go out to eat because it's the easiest thing. There are other things, and I want you to pick the thing that's going to make the option for you to stay in line with your goals the easy option. All right. So I hope this was helpful. Let me see. Okay, yes. And then the last thing, and I kind of went over it here, was how can you make decisions based on a lower priority versus a higher priority goal or value? And that kind of comes along with like the scenarios that I presented to you. So if you're in a situation where you're going out to eat with friends and one of your values is having a good community, and they're making food, or you're going out to eat where there's food that it's not necessarily in line with your goals, but you want to have a good time, you don't want to feel weird because you're going out to eat with your friends and you don't want to be the only one not eating, then in that situation, maybe you do prioritize your community value over your health value just in this situation. And instead of being like, oh, I ate so bad last night with my friends, I had such a good time and like I don't ever get to see them, like instead of shaming yourself for eating a certain way or drinking or anything like that, just don't make two off decisions in a row. So the next day, just like get back on track, eat the foods that you know are in line with your goals. And then just remember that like your friendship and community is also a value. So even though it's not meeting your highest priority need, maybe it's meeting another one. And that's just how it played out that night. Okay. I wouldn't, like, if you are trying to achieve a certain goal and that is your number one priority, like your actions will speak that way. And if it's not actually a number one priority, but you're saying it is, your actions will speak that way. but I don't want you to shame yourself or like guilt yourself out of doing something because like right now, number one value or number one goal is X. Okay. So I want you to think about it that way when you're also making decisions that, like in my scenario with the backpacking and the wellness, like I didn't want to miss out on the backpacking, but my priority is my wellness right now. So I made a compromise. So how can you make a compromise, or how can you change your perspective so that it's still meeting a need and then showing you how to get back on track the next decision you have to make. All right. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. See ya.